For months, he had spent his nights taking care of his aging grandfather. The days blurred together, and his life became one long, sleepless vigil. As he sat at his desk, staring blankly at textbooks, the faint static of the baby monitor filled the otherwise silent apartment. The weight of his responsibilities hung heavy on him, a constant, oppressive presence. That evening, Sophia, his older sister, arrived. Her face was pale, etched with exhaustion, the once vibrant woman now faded by the burdens of her own life. She hadn't spoken much about it, but everyone knew she was struggling. Her job, her marriage, her children. It all seemed to be weighing her down. And now, she needed help with their grandfather. Family meetings had never been easy. Tensions simmered beneath the surface, old arguments waiting to explode. They all wanted the best for Al, their aging patriarch, but nobody could agree on what that was. As they sat in the living room, frustration and resentment filled the air. Years of unresolved issues seemed to bubble up with every word, and the atmosphere was charged with anger and fatigue. Mary, Al's eldest daughter, had always been an imposing figure. As she sat across from him at the kitchen table, her sharp blue eyes bore into him. Her silence was more unsettling than any words she could have spoken. It was as if she was testing him, silently judging whether he could handle what was to come. There was a coldness to her demeanor, an air of control that made him uneasy. The basement was Al's domain, a treasure trove of antiques he had spent decades collecting. Shelves lined the walls, filled with strange and valuable items, relics from another time. Each object seemed to hold a secret, a story long forgotten. In the dim light, the young man could feel the weight of history pressing in around him. The musty smell of old wood and dust filled the air, and he couldn't shake the feeling that this place was somehow more than just a collection. Al had once been a strong, vibrant man, but now he was a shadow of his former self. The young man stood at the foot of his bed, watching as his grandfather fidgeted restlessly beneath the covers. His movements were slow, his mind lost in confusion. He didn't recognize anyone anymore, not even his own family. It was as if the man they had all known was fading away, leaving only an empty shell behind. One day, Mary led him to a locked cabinet in the basement. She unlocked it with a key, revealing a small collection of paintings, each carefully stored away. Among them was one that stood out, a painting of an Irish wolfhound, its noble figure guarding a flock of sheep in a lush green meadow. The craftsmanship was exquisite, the details so lifelike it seemed, as though the dog could leap from the frame at any moment. There was something special about this painting, something almost otherworldly. Curiosity piqued, he began researching the artist behind the painting. Hours slipped by as he scoured the internet for information, uncovering little-known facts about a reclusive painter whose works had largely been forgotten. As he delved deeper, a sense of unease grew. It was as if he was uncovering a mystery that no one was meant to solve. The more he learned, the more questions he had. And with each new discovery, the air around him seemed to grow colder. It happened without warning. Al, who had been docile for months, suddenly erupted into a frenzy. From the top of the basement stairs, he began shouting in Greek, his voice filled with anger and confusion. The young man recoiled, tumbling from his stool, his heart pounding in his chest. Al's eyes blazed with a wild energy as he gestured erratically at the items in the basement. The words made no sense, but they sent a chill down the young man's spine. For the next hour, Al wandered the basement, muttering to himself in Greek, his frail body pacing restlessly. It was as if he had reverted to another time, his mind lost in memories of auctions and transactions long past. The young man tried to calm him, speaking in soft, measured tones, but Al was beyond reason. The room felt charged with tension, the air thick with the scent of dust and age. It was as if the past was reaching out to claim Al, dragging him back into its grasp. Finally, Al's outburst subsided. He lay back in bed, his breathing shallow and ragged. As the young man tucked him in, Al whispered one last word, "Lykos." The word sent a shiver down his spine. There was something unsettling about it, something that hinted at a darkness he couldn't quite understand. The room, dimly lit by a single lamp, seemed to grow colder as the name lingered in the air. In the days that followed, the young man couldn't shake the feeling that the painting held the key to something deeper. He spent hours researching the artist, discovering that many of his works had been lost or destroyed. But one clue led him to a museum in Germany, where some of the artist's forgotten masterpieces were preserved. As he sat at his desk, staring at the screen, the painting of the Irish wolfhound loomed large behind him, casting an eerie shadow over the room. The mystery was far from solved, but he could feel himself being drawn deeper into its web.